All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the fourth part of the show, we are going to talk about an article that I saw regarding the Bears quarterback room back in 2021. And according to some reports, the QB room was toxic as hell. And this quarterback room consisted of rookie Justin Fields, Nick Foles, and Andy Dalton. So here are some comments. This is now, according to NFL writer Ty Dunn, and this is what he had to say. There were several arguments amongst the quarterbacks. Once, per one source, Nick Foles was trying to teach something to Fields in the quarterback room, and upon turning towards the rookie, Foles realized Fields wasn't even paying attention. His head was down. At that point, Foles was done trying to play mentor. The two could not stand each other. It got bad enough, a source told Dunn, that the trio ultimately never were together. It was always Andy and Nick, meaning Andy Dalton, walking side by side, and Justin always 15 yards behind them. So that's interesting. And then, let's see if there's anything else I wanted to touch upon. But yeah, so Tyler Dunn also did tweet. He said the Justin Fields era failed for many reasons in Chicago. Lame duck regime drafted him. Toxic as hell quarterback room, leadership quirks, but number one, processing. One coach said he'd be a great single wing quarterback if that was still around. And he also tweeted something that another Bears coach said. He said, watch his eyes. He tries to see the whole thing and doesn't see anything. His eyes are all over the place. And it's just really hard to watch. It's just bad football. So, yeah, that's so interesting stuff there with this article. That with the drama with the quarterback room. And here's the thing. That was back in 2021. That was a few years ago, and I think, Justin Fields, that was a learning experience, I feel like. Now, we'll see how things are in Pittsburgh because he's not going to be the starter. It's going to be Russell Wilson. And we'll see how that relationship kind of unfolds. But, yeah, I mean, definitely interesting stuff there regarding the quarterback room back in 2021. But I feel like a lot of times you look at some of these young players that come into the league and they need to be humbled a little bit. And Justin Fields, I guess, falls into that category. And I think when you're a young player that gets into the NFL, you want to absorb as much knowledge as you can from veteran guys to make you a better player. And I guess he just really wasn't interested in that. Now, I don't know how true this stuff is, but, if it is true, if there's some truth to it, again, that, like I said, it should be a learning experience for Fields to say, listen, if someone's trying to, give you advice, try to take it. And, Nick Foles and Andy Dalton, it's not like, they're Hall of Famers, but they're veteran guys. And Nick Foles did go on a miraculous Super Bowl run. Let's not forget about that. That did happen as a backup because he was Carson Wentz's backup. But he has started a lot of games. And, yeah, did go on that Super Bowl run, helped the Eagles win the Super Bowl. So, I don't know. Maybe you should pay attention to what he has to say. And Andy Dalton still doesn't have a playoff victory. But, he's been a veteran. He's a veteran guy. He's been around the league for a while. Still in the league. Backing up now Bryce Young. So, you want to absorb that knowledge. And I guess Fields just was not interested in that at the time. But again, this is a few years ago. If this is true, that he was not paying attention and this created this drama, then yeah, it's not a good look for Fields. But he could take that and learn from it. And like I said, young players, some of them come into the league, they got to be humbled. So I think, now going to Pittsburgh, new situation, but now you're sitting behind another quarterback. Try not to repeat the same thing that you did supposedly with the Bears. If Russell Wilson maybe does give you advice, tries to help you out, then maybe you take that. Now, I don't know if Russell Wilson, I don't think is really going to be a mentor to Fields. I think, he's going to go out and do his thing because he's trying to, revitalize his career because those 2 years in Denver weren't the best. And he wants to get back to playing like the Russell Wilson that we saw in Seattle. But I think they're going to have some kind of relationship. And, we'll see how that plays out. But definitely some interesting things that come out of Chicago. And then also just, the comments that were made as well, the tweet about, him, scanning his progressions and, just not really. Well, I mean, he said it. He sees everything, but he doesn't. How did he word it? Let me go back. I gotta go back to the tweet now. Just how he, like I said, scans the progressions. Well, I think also it also has a lot to do with the Bears not being able to develop a quarterback. I mean, they also had Mitchell Trubisky, and that didn't pan out either. So I don't think it's really just Fields. There's a lot that goes into it. Yeah, so like I said, this is the tweet. Watch his eyes. He tries to see the whole thing and doesn't see anything. His eyes are all over the place, and it's just really hard to watch. Yeah, he holds the ball too long. But I think a lot of that, and if you go back to earlier in the season when I think it was after the Chiefs loss, he was talking about how he's playing like a robot. I think that was after the Chiefs loss. Yeah, I mean, you kind of got to blame the Bears for not being able to develop him properly. You also that also plays a role in it too. And they finally started to surround him with talent, and then they went out and, with the draft and free agency, they added more to it, but they had the number 1 overall pick, and they said, well, we're drafting Caleb Williams, and we're going to trade Fields, and that's what they did. Now he's with the Steelers. And we'll see how he is with them. But, yeah, it's, they finally started surrounding him with the right pieces, but they are given the keys to a different quarterback. Now, the Steelers, I think, also could be a good spot for him. Again, I like the Bears supporting cast right now for Caleb Williams as opposed to the supporting cast with Pittsburgh. But, the Steelers got some good players as well. 2 good running backs. George Pickens, you want to see how he is with consistent quarterback play. Pat Freiermuth's a good tight end. And they revamped the offensive line. And they're backed by a good defense. So that's a good spot for Fields. But I don't know how much playing time he's going to get. Russell Wilson's going to be the starter. So we will see. And actually, I think the Steelers are opening up against the Falcons to start the year. So you got Arthur Smith going up against his former team. Now he's the offensive coordinator for Pittsburgh. So that should be interesting. But yeah, just something I wanted to touch upon regarding the quarterback drama that was supposedly in Chicago back during Fields' rookie year. But yeah, again, I mean, he's just a rookie. And that was from a few years ago. So we'll see, how he is now in this new situation with Pittsburgh. But let me know what you guys think about that story because I thought it was a little interesting. So I wanted to touch upon it. So we're going to take our final break of the show. And then when we come back, we'll talk about the Jets again regarding their offensive leadership and mainly has to do with Nathaniel Hackett. So we will get into that, and that is how we will end off the show for today. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.